I've been driving for Chow for about 8 months now. It's not a career, just something I fell into after I got laid off from the warehouse. The pay is garbage, but it keeps my rent paid and my car running. It was a Friday night in late February. I remember because it was my brother's birthday weekend, and I'd been trying to hustle up enough cash for a decent gift. It had been pouring since 4 o'clock, and the intersections were starting to flood so badly that my windshield wipers felt useless. I was about to pack it in for the night around 11:30 when an order popped up, a $72 Chinese food run from Golden Dragon, with a drop-off way out on Hillcrest Road, past where the streetlights even reach. The GPS took me down roads I'd never been on. As the rain got heavier, my headlights barely cut through it. When I finally found the address, I had to double-check the numbers on the mailbox. It was an old 3-story Victorian mansion with a wraparound porch that was mostly rotted through. Half the shutters hung crooked. The lawn looked like it hadn't been mowed in years, but the lights were on inside, glowing through the front windows. I grabbed the food and ran up to the porch, carefully avoiding the spots where the wood looked like it might give way. I knocked, and the door opened almost immediately. The man who answered was maybe mid-40s, pale as hell, with long dark hair parted down the middle. He was wearing a full tuxedo, bow tie, cummerbund, shiny shoes, like he was about to walk into a wedding. He thanked me with a wide smile for coming all the way out there, and told me the food was for his anniversary dinner and that his wife was upstairs getting ready. I handed him the bag. He took it, then patted his pockets and frowned. His wallet was upstairs, he said. Could I wait just a minute? He even offered me $50 cash to hang tight. I was tired and creeped out, but $50 would have covered my gas for the week. So I said sure and stepped inside. The entry hall was huge, hardwood floors, a grand staircase leading up to the second floor, old paintings covering the walls. Everything looked expensive, but it was all coated in a thick layer of dust, like nobody had bothered to clean in months. He led me to the dining room and told me to make myself comfortable. The room was set for a formal dinner. A white tablecloth, china plates, crystal wine glasses. Candles everywhere. An expensive bottle of wine already open on the table. But something made me uneasy. The house was completely silent, except for a loud ticking clock on the mantel. The man stood there watching me for a moment before excusing himself and heading upstairs. I waited. I checked my phone, zero service out here. All I could hear was that clock. 5 minutes turned into 10. I was starting to get annoyed. $50 wasn't worth standing around in some creepy house while this guy played dress up with his wife. Around the 15-minute mark, I finally called upstairs to ask if everything was all right. He shouted back that his wife was almost ready, just a couple more minutes. I looked around the dining room again while I waited. Something felt off. The wine glasses had no smudges. The plates looked brand new, as if they'd never been used. Even the candles, which looked like they'd been burning for hours, had barely dripped or melted. At 20 minutes, I'd had enough. I walked to the bottom of the stairs and called up again. He poked his head over the railing, apologized, and said he couldn't find his wallet, his wife must have moved it. Then he disappeared back into a room. I stood there debating whether to just leave. Then I heard him talking. He was asking his wife where she'd put his wallet, frustration creeping into his voice, blaming her for not taking care of his things. It sounded like a normal married couple argument, except I could only hear him. No response. Not a single word from her. A cold feeling settled in my stomach. I climbed the stairs slowly. The door at the end of the hall was open about 6 inches. I crept closer and heard his voice again, softer now, tender. He was telling her how beautiful she looked tonight. How he couldn't wait for dinner. I reached the door and peered through the gap. He was standing beside the bed, his back partially to me. And sitting on the bed, propped up against the headboard, was a skeleton bride, dressed in a full wedding gown, a veil pinned to its skull, a blonde wig placed carefully on top. Someone had painted makeup directly onto the bone where a face should have been. The teeth were smeared with red lipstick. There was blush on the cheekbones. My heart nearly stopped. He was still talking to it, his wallet in his hand the whole time, never actually lost. As quietly as I could, I backed away from the door, nearly tripped on the top step, and got down those stairs somehow. I bolted to my car without caring about the rain and didn't stop until I was halfway down Hillcrest Road, when I finally pulled over and called the police. The dispatcher stayed on the line while she sent a unit out. 2 officers called me back about 40 minutes later. They'd gone to the house, spoken to the man, and asked to look around. He'd let them in without hesitation. The skeleton was plastic, the kind you buy at a Halloween store. The man admitted he'd had it for years, that he set up dinners with it to cope with loneliness. The officers ran his name. No criminal record. He had never even been married. They asked if I wanted to press charges. I didn't even know what I'd charge him with, being strange, wasting my time. I said no and hung up. The very next week, I quit. My brother asked why I'd stopped driving, and I lied about the hours being too long. The truth was, I couldn't shake the image of that skeleton bride. I guess I should be glad it was just plastic. For a moment, I thought I'd stumbled onto something much, much worse. But the whole thing still haunts me. Sometimes I wonder what that man does when he eats. Does he talk to her the whole time? Does he ever convince himself she talks back? I wonder if he's doing it tonight.